Hey everybody, how's it going? Today's day 2 of creating our wonderful trading bot. Today we had on the docket for setting up the configuration. So we need to load some keys into our program so we can connect to the Alpaca API and start making some trades and getting account information and all that. So we wanted to store that in, the initial thoughts was a JSON file. Um, Outside of the application so we don't check it into source. So that way you guys can safely modify your configs and I can modify mine. Um, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Oh, just to recap on yesterday. Day 1, we made some progress. We had a console logger. So if you weren't able to check out the videos from yesterday, well, now we have a logger and we can log to console and file. And we just did a quick test and I'll show you that here real fast again so you can see what it looks like. And that's it. So it basically logs to console and file, basic simple test, and at least we can use it in our application when we're ready to get going. So first thing I want to do here, try to figure out where I want to put the configuration. I was thinking maybe in another project just to keep it separate. Not really sure if it's necessary, but let's do that for now. And we can always change it up later if we decide that it doesn't make sense. So we'll go ahead and add a new project. Class library. And we're always using .NET standard, I'm sorry, the .NET framework libraries, as well as the other projects that we're choosing. Trade configuration. Sounds about right. All right, let's create that. And let's rename this manager. And we're going to make that static. Basically, I just want a static entry point for the configs. So we could probably just we'll add the project and the namespace configuration, and then we can just do manager load, maybe config manager. Maybe that's a better name for it. Let's do that. Config manager, and then we'll do like a load, and that'll load the config, I guess. Seems about right. And we're going to be using JSON files, and I guess let's just go ahead and create an example. So let's do add file. Just going to be a no, I guess we can do JSON. Yeah, they have JSON. Let's call it app settings, like so. Okay. And what do we want it to look like here? Let's see. We said in the, oops, not here, design doc. We need to be able to determine if it's live mode. We need it to have our keys to define which strategies we want to load and whether it's extended trading hours. Okay, so we'll just probably call this app settings. So right now I'm just defining a JSON file. This is the format that you created in. And so we'll just call the live mode setting whether it's live or not, and give it a value of false. And we'll do the live. So with Alpaca, they give you an ID for your account, and then you generate keys. So they have an ID for the live side and a corresponding key that you can change. So that key can always be changed. Your ID just stays the same. And then scratch that. I believe the ID also sometimes changes as well if you regenerate. but just keep in mind that there is an ID and then a secret key, as well as for the paper. On the paper mode, there's an ID and a secret key. I guess I can quickly show you that. So if you go here, view your keys, if you generate a key pair, it'll allow you to connect to their endpoint with it. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be generating a key pair, and then we'll go ahead and add it to our config. All right. So we don't have one yet, so we're going to go blank. And this is what we're going to check in to our source anyway. We don't want to provide keys here. So this is only for example purposes. We're going to actually take this config and give it a name, probably like dev or prod or whatever we want our config to be named, probably dev and prod. And then we'll load dev with when we're compiling in debug, and then maybe prod when we're compiling in release. That's typically what I do, and I'll show you how to do that here. Then we wanted strategies. And since I want it later on to be able to handle more than one strategy at once, we're going to use a strategy array. So we're going to define a name that matches probably the class name. And then we should be able to find the class, create an instance of it, and then load it as a strategy. That's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll see how that works out. And extended trading hours, we'll just say false for now. All right, so that looks good. So we're not in live mode, that's default. Extended trading, default false. We'll have some keys that we can add here once we generate them off of the alpaca site. And once we actually have a strategy, we can plug that in here and input the strategy name that we're going to use. All right, so to also load this, we'll need a model for the app settings. So we'll go ahead and just create that here as well. Let's call it app settings. And these will correspond exactly to our JSON. So I'll probably just copy and paste these. It might be easier just to type it actually. All right. Oops. Well, I wonder if that'll take bool. It should. Again, this is just a model to hold the settings. So with the Microsoft JSON file loader, you can load the configuration straight into a class and it'll fill out these values for you. So I'll show you that here in a second. And there is, I don't know if this shows up. I think this is what we want. Data annotations. So you can specify a tag here so that when you're loading this through the config, it'll reference the tag, and if you don't have a value for this or it doesn't see this in the config, it'll basically invalidate it saying it's required for the configuration. So that's kind of cool. Live ID and live key. And we also want the space these out. We'll do the same set for paper. And I'm making them camel case, the same as we did in the JSON. If you didn't do this and you went title case with your properties for this model, you'd also have to, create a serialization attribute here so that it properly reads it. I just wanted to make it straight through and clear that this is coming straight from the JSON. And what else we got? So we got the strategies array and extended trading. Okay, so we're going to do strategy. Since it's an array, it should be able to load it into a list, so we'll do that. List of names. And then extended trading. Okay, liking that so far. Let's see. Trying to think if I want to. So I know that depending on whether it's live or not, there's different property values and helper functions from the SDK that Alpaca offers. I'm trying to figure out if I just want to create like a little helper function for myself. Kind of thinking I do. And that would actually require the SDK though, I think. So let's see. Let's do manage NuGet packages. I mean, we can just probably just add it to all of them right now. Let's do that. Don't need them everywhere, I guess, but yeah, there it is. So definitely in configuration, runtime. Don't necessarily think we need it in maybe terminal. In the logging, it's not going to hurt anything. It'll only copy it in there once anyway, so no big deal. Yep, looks good. Let's give that a moment to finish. And we'll flip back here. And let's get in there. Yep, that's there now. Awesome. And we're just going to say if we're live, this will return environment live else environments paper. So now we can quickly just call environment from our app settings and it'll return the correct one. And this will later help us, so I'll point that out later as well. I'm also going to have some private fields. So they're clients as well. When you're connecting to them, they created a object called secret key, and it just takes in a name value pair, and you pass that object to the clients that they created. Their clients are really good. I like their SDK. they handled all their endpoints in it and gave you all the functionality that you would pretty much need to connect to their API. So it took a lot of the heavy lifting out and allowed you to focus on connecting, making trades, and designing a strategy and a framework to trade with them. So, string ID. So this is just going to get the current ID based off of live or paper. So if we're live again, I guess I can do it down there as well, not to take away from the actual settings. So let's just do it right here. ID, so we do live ID if we're live, right? Else paper ID. Same thing for the keys. And we're going to expose that straightforward helper function, secret key. Very cool. So now when you call these, it is a shorthand to return a new object of our private fields that return based off of the live parameter. So when we're in paper mode, we'll get the paper keys and get a secret key from that, and also the paper environment. So that's pretty much our model here for our app settings. I want to add a property to this. So public static class app settings, right? We'll just call it app settings. Oh, not class. Oops. Good. And private set. Right, we only want to be able to allow exposing config manager, app settings, and then the individual settings. I like that. That should work. And we're going to have a load. So config manager load, and it's just going to be void. Well, we can have it return app settings. Sure. Okay, this is where the loading comes in. We're going to use also, well, we can use this one actually. So Microsoft. Oh, already has it there for me. Not a, I think it's called binder. So let's load that in configuration. I think I want that JSON one too. Okay. Are these already in there? File-based configuration and JSON. Is that all we need? see if that gives us everything we need. So we're going to do a new configuration builder. Yeah. And then it has a base path. Yeah. Where do we want that to be? Current directory? Current working directory. Is that right? Is that what we want? That way it just loads. Yeah, let's give that a shot for now. Let's get rid of those. Let's try that. Let's see where it's looking. And then we wanted to be able to load the different types. So this is our example. I was kind of thinking of, that's what I typically do, but probably keep it consistent and do that as well. So we'll add in here user-specific files. So we don't want to load star.appSettings.json. Right, so this is going to now ignore any files that we add to our solution with a prepender. Actually, I probably won't even add one, but if you want on your end, you can add, you know, like dev dot, and that's probably what we'll call it. We'll just hard code it dev. And we'll put that in the README so everybody knows. But I'll show you here. Oops. So, is it if? I'm doing that right. Saying a. Oh, it's because I. These are chain loaded. Is that right? Yeah. What does it need? String path with 4 overloads. So the path is going to be our base directory here, which is our current directory. And then we'll do dev.appSettings.json. What are the other? Optional. Optional is going to be false. What else we got? Reload on change. I don't know. Let's do true. What will that give us the ability to do? Switch up strategies without relaunching? Is that, we actually probably don't want to reload on change. Keep it simple for now. Oops. And we'll just call this one. Oh, we can do paper. That's kind of cool. Paper. No, because we have both keys, so we'll just leave it dev and prod. Not really sure if we need this. But yeah, we'll do it that way. So we're in debug mode, and this is a compiler conditional statement. And basically it allows you to specify if it's debug, which is built in based off of your configuration here when you're building. And you switch it to release, and you can see here it quickly switches over to the prod file. So now we just need 2 files in our current runtime directory, which will be terminal, and it will load the values that we want. So let's do that quickly, and we'll call it from here. So I think we're done with this for testing purposes. That was just a test, so I'll dump that out. Close that for now. Oh, sorry. It didn't even build the config. Let's finish that. Oops. Build it. And then we have to bind it to AppSettings. So it's binding the path in the JSON AppSettings to AppSettings. And actually, we could probably just do this here. Cleaner, actually. Assign default value, right? Let's initialize it. Can we do that? What does that say? What's wrong with it? Fix formatting. Is it complaining about this or that? Get app settings. Oh, you can't do that, huh? Wonder if it's because it's static. All right, so we'll just do it this way. Oh, that one? Is it because I had a semicolon? No. Yeah, no. Guessing because it's static. All right, so then we bind it to app settings. Cool. And then we can do a reference here. Add reference to our configuration. We'll delete it later. Oops. Not hashtag. Yep, using config manager.load. Okay, so we just want to store a reference point to it. We'll step through that. It's going to error. It's not going to be able to find the file, but let's just let's run it anyways. Let's see what that base path is set to. Oops, didn't switch back to debug. Here we go. All right, so we're in the code. Step in. All right, we're doing our builder. It's looking for dev.appsettings.json. Oh, could not load file. Well, that didn't get very far, did it? And it's looking straight in our debug. Cool. So that's exactly what we wanted with our current directory. So let's go ahead and go there, and we'll make a copy and create a config. So give me 1 second. No, this is probably faster. Yep, definitely is. Debug. Those are just the logs. We should have, oh, we need to set this to compile always. Will that work? Let's see. Oh, not not compile, or resource, I believe it is. Hold on. Try to actually compile the content. All right, let's try that again. I'm hoping it's going to give us just a, yeah, now we can copy and paste this one. And rename that. Right, so now it should be able to find this file. And we'll edit it here. Oh, can we open this in our, it's probably a better way to do it. Yeah, sure can. Cool. So I'm just going to fill these in. ID, just to make sure that we're getting all the values. Quick test here. I guess we could build tests for these, but maybe we'll add that next time. Just start creating tests instead, just to make sure our tools are running that we're implementing. All right, step through it again. So now it should be able to find this file because we just created it, not found. File providers. Could not load file or assembly. File providers. Do I not have the correct packages? Microsoft. Oh, it's not installed. Oh, where is it installed to? It's there. It's not there. Not there. I think we need it in everywhere we're going to use a config. So let's put in both of those as well. I don't think we're going to use the config in logging. Maybe logging level? Not yet. All right, let's give it a go. See if that was the problem here. Still can't find it. Could not load file or assembly. All right, to the Googles. Stand by. Let's see what's going on here. Base path is correct, right? That's where we were. Verify that. Debug. It's looking for dev.appsettings.json. We're using different versions. Let's update these real quick. Might be a problem with mismatched versions of, but these don't look like the extensions at all. I mean, it has runtime extensions, but I think that's different. Let's see here. So we load in, we start to build a configuration. Add JSON file. And we have JSON in there, right? Oh. Well, we're missing the one that we want. Should be a JSON one here somewhere. Extensions. Binder extensions. File providers abstractions maybe. It's already installed. That one's installed. That one's installed. I thought there was a JSON. All right, extensions configuration, configuration binder, configuration JSON, and it's installed in only one. That's the problem. So we made a mistake here. Let's make sure we get all this in there into all the ones that we might be calling a config from. Thought we did that originally, but we must have missed that one. So that one's in all of them, configurations in all of them, binders, binders not. Definitely want binder as well. All right, I think that was the problem. Let's try it again here in 1 second. And step through that. Yeah, okay, so we were just missing, so we're calling it from program, and it had no clue where the calls were coming from. What did we add here? I don't go back to that. Okay. All right, it's gonna bind it now, and this should have values that we provided. Yeah, so it's picking them up. Extended trading. These are the IDs I put in there. Since it's set to live false, these private fields are set to the papers and values. Live is false. These are the live keys and ID. Paper has one strategy, my strategy. And it's doing everything right. It's got the environment, and it's got everything we need. Very cool. All right, so I call that a working config. What's next? So I guess the next thing, let's look at our to-do list here. Oops. Should we start marking these off, I guess? Let's put an X next to them. That's pretty good. We've got the configuration done. Got all those options in there. So now we need I think we need to start creating the runtime. We're going to need our clients. We're going to start needing to know what properties we're going to need to manage for them in terms of streaming connections and stuff like that. So I think that's the next move, is kind of moving into our runtime and starting that. Then we can, start storing information and pulling at least partial information from Alpaca. Cool. So we got our config. That's kind of cool. That was easy to do. And we can load that anywhere we want. Yeah, it just returns it here. Let's see. Can we output that? There's no toString, but let's get into here, I guess. Watch it load all the way through. Yeah, returns it as well. Cool. Very cool. That's all we need, really. All right, so just get rid of this stuff. These are just testing. And let's start the runtime. So what do we want this to be called? So we got runtime. We want runtime manager. Do we just want manager? Manager's gonna look, run manager sounds good, I guess. So add a class here, run manager. Sounds about right. All right, and that's gonna be public, static probably. And basically we just want to expose a entry point to run it. So public, static, async, yeah, run. Let's do start async. Pass in no values. Static async. What's it complaining about? Oh, void. Yeah. All right, so that's our entry point. We need a constructor. So where we start setting up our clients, we're going to know we need a, I guess we can store these private. Alpaca data clients, right? This is where we want to load our settings. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we just want to load them from the runtime. I don't see you needing that from an external source at the moment. So let's link that there. And we'll have a, I guess we can always let them view the settings. It's going to be modifiable as well, but we only use them in the beginning, right? So how do we want to do that? We'll just keep it private as well. And we'll just expose a few of the settings, like live or not, you know. They don't need the keys outside of the runtime. They don't, yeah, we'll expose like live, extended, and strategies. And that's it. Yeah, we'll do that. Private app settings. And just call it app settings. Private static. I'm only going to load this once, so app settings, config manager, load. Oh, because it's read only. Well, static it is. Yeah, so as soon as it's initialized, it makes sure it can get its config. All right, and then, so outside of the data client, what else do we want? I think there's a trading client. And let's take a look at their documentation real fast here. trading client. I know they have a streaming client, and I remember having trouble with that at one point, and I started to use the Polygon client instead to stream and to collect data. And I think I want to do that because I don't think Polygon has I think they have better servers as well. So I may only want to use the Polygon data client and not the alpaca data client. So let's do that. Polygon, yeah. Is that all I need? Trading client and data client, streaming client. I think that's it, honestly. Let's take a look. Just referencing some documentation here. What does their streaming client do? I think that streams data just like Polygon as well. The trading client should do trading updates. No, the trading client is for, okay. So I do need a streaming client for this one as well. So the trading client is to get like account information and like order history and stuff like that. But you actually have to connect to the streaming client for Alpaca to get trade updates. So when you submit a trade, it'll call back with, trade submitted and then the order status and stuff like that. Or order submitted, and then when you get them filled or partially filled, you'll start getting these callbacks letting you know what's happening with it. So we'll definitely want all of that. Alpaca. All right, so I think those are all the clients we need. Again, we're using the SDK that Alpaca API created. They have a GitHub page that I'll post if you want to check out their code as well. I'll put that in the description. Okay, so we're making pretty good progress here. What am I doing wrong here? Access modifiers not allowed in static constructors. Oh, because it's public here. Okay. So we have settings, we have our clients. Maybe we start creating them. So it takes our keys, and it looks like the Polygon client uses it only uses the ID. They don't actually ask for a key. So can we expose that then? here. Do these need to be private? I mean, these are public, right? Yeah, let's just make them public. I mean, you can get that value anyways. So this will give us a shorthand here. I actually like that. Yeah, I like that actually. It'll give us our current ID or key. Then we don't have to check it when we're going to go and use them here. All right, so we are going to set, like we said, exposing live here. So public bool live app settings.live. Public static. Yeah. So that'll let us determine if we're live or not and allow the user to see. I guess we can do extended as well. Or act off of that depending on the launching application for the runtime. Not sure if it's necessary or not, but it's okay. Let's do the trading. Did I spell that wrong? I did, didn't I? Trading clients equals so we get the environment get alpaca trading client. So they have these helper functions that you can just return the client configuration. It supplies the correct URLs and everything. Should that not be the correct object? Can I implicitly convert trading client to interesting. I wonder if that's new in their update. Never had that problem before. I think I remember. Because that should return. Creates new instance of alpaca trading clients. Alpaca trading client. Is this what they want? That's what they want. They want to abstract it. Pretty sure it's going to do the same for the rest of them, but should give us the same functionality. So on the trading client, what does it have? Yeah. Okay, it has everything we need. Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. That's all we needed. And we'll do the streaming clients. Same thing, and it's probably going to want a interface for that. Guessing all of these are going to be the same. And what do we get from this? So we want to do connected plus equals. Where do we want that? Alpaca streaming client connected. Usually I just leave the defaults, but I think that'll work actually. Tab to insert. Okay. We'll implement those in a second. Let's just get this built out. What else we got? So we do want connected. Do they have? They don't have disconnected. They have on error. Socket opened and closed. On error and on account update. Ooh, they stream account updates? I wonder what they've returned now in that. I'll research that. That's kind of cool. Alright, so we want that one first. And then we'll do trade update. On account update plus equals, tab it out. Oops. Socket open. Oops. And socket close. So basically we're just assigning here callbacks or methods that will be executed when data is fed back to these on the streaming client. So at some point we'll have to manage this connection. We want to be streaming this data so we can get updates from the server, Alpaca themselves. And I believe we'll want to do the same thing for the data client. Polygon. So the data client just needs to be assigned a value. So we'll do this. Oops. Client. Setup. Initialize. We'll do Polygon here. Just because it's going to get kind of confusing. And again, this just uses the ID for the Polygon stuff. Okay, so data client is done. And we'll do the same for the streaming client. And that's done. And then we want to register the streaming client events. So, okay, so they have quite a few here. Again, we're not implementing these. We'll probably move them around, but so they have minute and second aggregates, on error, quote received. So we'll probably just do one for each of them. And connected, socket. What's trade received? Interesting. Subscribe trade. Oh, so maybe you can get live trade updates. Oh, because you can subscribe to trade quote. Okay. So we'll probably just do minute aggregate, on error, socket closed, open, and connected. So do connected. Socket. Gonna wrap up here pretty soon. Just gonna finish these out, and we'll come back tomorrow and actually start getting into this. So if you do watch through all the whole thing on this, I really appreciate you watching. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Again, I'm gonna try to do this daily. I might miss a day or two, or may start later in the day, you know, on the weekends at some point. But I do want to go through creating an entire trading bot on stream. And I will be uploading all the code to GitHub, and the description will be in the links. And I hope to have more follow on along and create a community here and really make a really cool trading bots. And then we need the minute aggregates. All right. Again, these are just going to throw exceptions if we actually try to use them, and when we're starting, we're not actually doing anything anyways, so that's fine. We're not connected ever. I think the next steps tomorrow, now that we have our clients here, we need to start thinking about how we're going to manage these connections. So these streaming clients, they will get disconnected because they are streaming throughout the day, and we don't want to be streaming probably overnight. There's no point because the market's closed. So we'll have to define when we want to start streaming, if we get disconnected, what happens and how we reconnect, and then also what happens when the market closes. So thanks again for tuning in, and hope to catch you guys tomorrow.